everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 27. Before we begin, I just want to say that I hope all of you had a wonderful April Fool's Day. Hopefully, too many of the pranks out there didn't, get you guys. I know that I saw some pretty good ones. I think one of my favorites was the Splatoon Island, which some madman put together that basically made it seem like there was going to be like this Splatoon spin-off game that's like more mature and you hang out at the beach and you like date other like squid people or whatever. I don't know. It just seemed really good. It looked real. It was awesome. Besides that, I was going to do some sort of like a spoof review or some sort of fake out over on my channel, but I ended up deciding that the best prank of all was not doing any prank. That way you guys would just be expecting it, and then nothing would come, So haha, I got all of you. With that being said, it's a pretty meaty week this week. I mean, I feel like there's quite a bit to talk about. So with that being said, let's dive into my week. So, beginning my week off, I have read more of Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, but I've been reading it at a very slow pace because I've been very busy with just like all the anime that have been, finishing up this season. So not much more to say. Read like another 5 chapters. So I'm like at chapter, I don't know, it's a little less than 40 out of 65, but I am getting there. So yeah, not much to say there. When it comes to anime though, I finished some anime, that finished off this season, so I guess I'll dive into those. The first one I want to talk about that just ended this Monday, I believe, was Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. And Mob Psycho 100, I think it is a great series. I think the first season is really fun, and likewise, Season 2 was a pretty good follow-up. I mean, it had a lot of cool fights, it had a lot of cool animation, the character interactions, and the character development was great. Basically, to summarize the season as a whole, it basically boiled down to Mob growing, growing both as an Esper, aka as a psychic, because we see him like develop his powers even further, but it was also about him growing like emotionally and like, it's a coming of age sort of story. Like at the beginning of this season and much of last season, he was like a really shy kid who wouldn't really speak out or stand up for himself or anything. And it was just really nice throughout the season seeing him, come into his own. And he's like more outgoing and he is more dedicated to certain things and that sort of thing. So Mob Psycho 100 Season 2 was really fun. I think the humor was on point. I think the fights were great. I think the animation was awesome. I mean, some people have joked that the reason One Punch Man Season 2 looks so bad is because all the budget went to Mob Psycho 100 because, it's made by the same mangaka. Or I don't know if it's the same mangaka or if it's the same creator. Because I think he created it, but someone else draws it now. Not too sure. But the point is that people have joked that he invested all his money from, One Punch Man into Mob Psycho. And I mean, it might be true because the animation is phenomenal. And overall, I would recommend it. If you watch Mob Psycho 100 Season 1 and you liked it, I think you will love Season 2. And if you have not watched Mob Psycho before, then I don't know what you're waiting for, Both seasons are out now. They're both really good. I think they're a lot of fun, so I recommend them. I say check them out. Moving on, this next anime is one that I enjoyed, but it is a bit hard to recommend to everybody because I know it's not going to be for everyone. The one I'm talking about, of course, is Boogiepop and Others, also known, I think, as Boogiepop Never Laughs. I feel like I've also seen it, titled like that. But Boogiepop and Others is an anime I haven't talked about in a while. I mean, it ran for 18 episodes, so I talked about it like probably the beginning of last season or maybe even a little before that. I'm not too sure. But Boogiepop and Others is really weird. And like I said, I can feel from watching it that it's going to be like very niche and it's not going to be for everybody. For anyone who doesn't know anything about the show, it's this heavily mysterious, psychological sort of show. Like if you're expecting big fights and stuff, you're not going to get that. It's about, by day, there's this girl that she's a high school girl. She has a boyfriend, her friends, that sort of thing. Normal high school girl. But then she seems to have like this split personality that may or may not be like this supernatural entity called Boogiepop. That whenever there's like trouble around her, she basically becomes Boogiepop. Like her demeanor changes, her manner of speech changes, she becomes mechanical and supernatural, that sort of thing. And yeah, basically Boogiepop and Others, it follows, I want to say it's like 4 different arcs. Each, is like a different number of episodes. Like the first one's only 3 episodes, and the second one is like 6 episodes, I believe. And in each little arc, it's about Boogiepop going up against some sort of like a supernatural threat. So like in the first little arc that I remember I did talk about, back in one of my early podcasts, it's all about Boogiepop going up against this like shapeshifter that has infiltrated the high school, and one of the fellow students, of the main character, one of her fellow students, he basically is like in love with the shape-shifting monster, and so he's the one who's kind of helping the monster, I don't know, feed on like humans and stuff, and like it's really weird, right? And basically, like in that first arc, it's all about Boogiepop trying to investigate what's happening, why are students disappearing, and then tracking down the supernatural entity and fighting it and finally defeating it. And like I said, it's just really weird because like the story isn't necessarily told in order, and like the pacing is like kind of slow and just like really unsettling and like mysterious the whole time. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. And I think that if you've ever watched an anime like Paranoia Agent or like Serial Experiments Lane, where it's very like unsettling horror and it's very mysterious and it's very psychological, I think you will like this anime. But like I said, I can tell that it's very niche. Not everyone's going to enjoy it. I mean, there's not big battles or anything. A lot of stuff you kind of have to piece together by yourself. The way the story's told is like very unconventional, But overall, I enjoyed it. I do recommend it, to a specific set of people, which I kind of just described. But like I said, if it sounds interesting to you, check it out. I do think it's a pretty good anime, but it is a very strange one. So there you go. Moving on, the next anime that I want to talk about that I finished this past weekend was Kaguya-sama Love is War. Now, for anyone who needs a little bit of a refresher on that, that's the one about the 2 geniuses at the school. One is the student council president, and the other one is the vice president. And basically, they both like each other, and they both kind of have a suspicion that the other likes them. But because they see confessing their love as weakness, basically they're just doing all these plots against each other, trying to get the other person to confess their feelings first. Because, basically it's weird, but it's funny, trust me, all right? Like, it sounds ridiculous, like, why don't these kids just talk to each other? But as you watch the show, you kind of get it, It's kind of like a weird pride thing, but regardless, it's a really funny anime. I enjoyed it a lot, and I had lots of good laughs. Not only are the 2 main characters hilarious, but the narrator who, narrates everything that they're doing, that dude is also really funny. I mean, he's like his own character, basically. And the side characters, supporting characters, they're a blast. Like they have the secretary that she's like this ditzy girl with pink hair named Chika. And basically every time Kaguya-sama is plotting something, Chika will find some sort of way to ruin it, Like it's not even on purpose, but she'll like screw everything up. So like that's always really funny. And, halfway in the season, they introduce the treasurer, who's this like otaku video game nerd guy who's always like really depressed. And basically he always keeps like, I don't know, he keeps getting crapped on by everybody because he keeps like interfering with things without meaning to. And then everybody will like crap on him and he'll get like depressed and want to go home, which like that was really funny. So, I mean, it ran for, I want to say it was 13 episodes. I enjoyed every episode. I think the anime was great. If you enjoy like comedy romance things, I think you'll love this. And even if you don't usually like romance anime, I still think you're gonna like this because unlike other, romance anime where, I don't know, there's like a lot of usual tropes and stuff, right? Here, I feel like it's so like comedy is first and romance is second, I guess you can say. So I feel like you can just enjoy it because of the jokes. Like there's just so much good jokes, so much good moments. So I recommend it. I think Kaguya-sama was really fun, and I think you guys should check it out. You know, like I said, whether you like romance animes or not, I think you should give it a shot because it was hilarious. And I found myself just loving all the jokes and all the memes, all that good stuff. So check it out. Finally, the last anime that I want to talk about isn't necessarily one that I had been following this anime season, but it's one that just, during the week, it just popped up because it's like a OVA special thing, I guess. And so I watched the Pop Team Epic special. That's what it's called. And don't really know what to say. I mean, if you guys have ever watched Pop Team Epic doesn't really have a plot or anything. Basically, each episode is just a mishmash of different references and like skits and stuff. And that was the same thing for the special. It was just a very long mishmash of skits and stuff. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm trying to think of some of the references they had. Like there was this extended Rambo reference, which just came out of nowhere. So like that was enjoyable to watch. It was just really funny. They had some like video game references, which is pretty cool. They had some new, like they had like a new segments where basically things are made out of clay. So like that was interesting, and yeah, overall don't really know what to say. Either you will like the humor in Pop Team Epic or you'll hate it, honestly. I don't think there's really an in-between because the humor is just so out there and abstract and ridiculous that I think you'll either like Pop Team Epic or you'll hate it. And I think you won't really know until you check it out. But personally, I love it. I think it's all forms of ridiculous. I think it's entertaining. So I really love the special. I thought it was fun. And so all I can really say is that if you have seen Pop Team Epic in the past and enjoyed it, then check it out. On the other hand, if you've seen Pop Team Epic in the past and you didn't like it, then yeah, just avoid this because it's more of the same and you'll probably just have a bad time. So there you go. Moving on, when it comes to movies, I don't even remember why I checked out this movie. It just kind of happened randomly because I was like curious, I guess. So at one point during the week, I rented the Bumblebee movie, like the newest Transformers movie. And I surprisingly, I would say I really enjoyed it, actually. I mean, I think it's a fun story. For anyone who doesn't know, this one is supposed to be like a prequel where back when the Transformers first leave their planet, because of how there's like a takeover or whatever, and basically Optimus Prime, he's like the leader of the Resistance, and him and the Autobots are like fleeing Cybertron, blah, blah, blah. And, as they're escaping, Bumblebee gets sent to Earth. And when he gets here, an enemy basically rips out his vocal cords, which is why, like, in the other movies, he doesn't talk. And some girl finds him. And, it's this kid that she's dealing with, like, the death of her father. She's dealing with the fact that she gets bullied a lot. She hates her part-time job. She is dealing with, like, how her mom got remarried. And, like, she's not really over the death of her dad yet. There's conflicting feelings there. All sorts of stuff, right? And basically, this girl finds Bumblebee when he's in a, Volkswagen Beetle form. And when she starts him up, she realizes he's a Transformer. And the majority of the movie is just about their relationship, She befriends him, they go through all sorts of shenanigans together, that sort of thing. And I mean, there is, like a bigger plot about there being like these two evil Transformers that, they're part of the Decepticons, and they try to trick the humans into helping them, track down Bumblebee, that sort of thing. So there is like a bigger story, but I would say like a big chunk of the movie is just the relationship between this girl and Bumblebee. And honestly, I think that might be why I enjoyed it so much. Because unlike the previous movies where they're like going all over the world, and there's explosions everywhere and big over-the-top fights and convoluted MacGuffins and stuff, this movie was fun because it was just about this girl hanging out with her robot buddy and just getting into all sorts of misadventures, So I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. There was lots of parts that made me laugh because, Bumblebee, basically they portray him as this like creature that doesn't really know any better. And so he gets into all sorts of trouble and stuff, which I thought that was fun. And I enjoyed the movie, It makes sense that I enjoyed it, I guess, because it is smaller scale and it is by a different director. Unlike the past 5 movies that have all been done by Michael Bay, this was done by the director of Kubo and the Two Strings. So, it's a guy from like a different sort of movies, different sort of studio. So I mean, that might have been a part of it. But I don't know. Just, I guess I'm kind of rambling. The point is, I liked the movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. That's not to say that it was a perfect movie. I mean, there was still some stuff that was kind of especially stuff involving like the US military, that sort of thing. You know, didn't really enjoy those parts. But overall, I thought it was a fun movie, and I really enjoyed just seeing the relationship between this girl and Bumblebee and seeing, you know, all their misadventures and stuff. I thought that was fun. So do I recommend the movie? I guess I would, actually. I would say, you know, if you've been soured by the Transformers movies, you know, you might enjoy this. I think this might turn your opinion around on the series, you know, it might make you think that, hey, you know, if they're done right, the Transformers movies can be good. So there you go. When it comes to TV shows, I finally sat down and I guess you can say I watched something that has to do with the TV show. Basically over on YouTube, the CBS Access, I believe that's what it's called, the YouTube channel. I guess they're trying to get people, it's CBS All Access, sorry. But yeah, I guess CBS All Access, since it's that like new service that you can like buy, and the Twilight Zone is on there, I guess in order to kind of get people interested in it, they put up the complete first episode of the new series, you know, like the revival, whatever you want to call it, directed by Jordan Peele. And so I thought that was interesting. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll check out the first episode. I'll see what it's like. And so the first episode is called The Comedian, and I thought it was okay, you know. If you look at the comments, people love to go to extremes. Some people are calling it revolutionary and they're just like totally kissing its ass. Other people are freaking the hell out and calling it like a garbage fire and all that sort of stuff. I think it's just in the middle. I think it was fine. You know, it had its pros and its cons. Basically for this new revival, the first episode of The Comedian, to give a little bit of like a synopsis, there's this comedian that when the episode starts, he's trying to, you know, tell jokes that I guess are like important to him, you know, like they make it very clear that he's like for like gun control, that sort of thing. And so he starts telling jokes that he thinks will make a difference, you know, like he's being like very self-righteous, and he even says, you know, like I want to reach people through my humor, this and that. Unfortunately, people don't care because his jokes aren't good. And I guess they just don't really appreciate like the self-righteousness either. And he meets when he gets to the bar, he sees that a comedian that he knows, like a really famous one, is having a drink. And basically, you know, he asks the guy for tips, and the guy says, you know, like you got to put yourself out there, make it more personal, that sort of thing. And he tells him, though, you have to be careful because what you put out there, I mean, it's gone. You can't like have it come back. And our main character, though, he's like, no, you know, I want to be famous more than anything. It's the only thing I've ever wanted. I'll do whatever it takes. And you can tell that the comedian is sketchy. And so he starts telling his usual jokes and no one laughs. And so he's getting frustrated. So he goes like, screw it. I'll just tell a joke about myself. And so he starts telling like this dumb joke about his dog and how his dog is named Cat, and his dog like, I don't know, like pissed all over his pizza, just like really stupid stuff, right? And people are actually laughing. And so he like, you know, he gets cocky because he like feels good for himself, right? When he gets home though, he notices his dog is missing. So that raises the first red flag. And I'm not going to go too much deeper into the episode. I don't want to spoil it. But basically what he finds out is that he's inherited some sort of like twisted power where whatever he jokes about, as long as he has some sort of connection to it, you know, it's something like from his life, that thing disappears and it ceases to exist. Like if he asks someone about it, they don't know what he's talking about. It's like it never existed in the first place. Anything that has to do with that thing gets reversed. And it's an interesting episode because he starts joking about things on accident. Then when he realizes that, you know, he has the power to make things disappear, he starts joking about things like in a very Death Note style, where he does it to like, you know, cleanse the world around him. But then, of course, comes corruption, where he starts, you know, joking about stuff that's in his way, you know, so he's getting rid of like the competition, that sort of thing. And I don't know, I thought it was a really good episode in the sense of like the theme. I thought that was really cool. I thought the acting was pretty good. I thought like the spookiness factor was interesting because it always does kind of like leave you like, ooh, what's going to happen next? You know, it's kind of interesting. When it comes to the negatives though, I do think it's a bit long. Usually, Twilight Zone episodes are like half an hour, and this was like 50 minutes, which felt a little, it felt a little bit long. But I don't know. Like I said, overall, I thought it was fine. I thought that like the message it tries to give is interesting. Seeing this guy who starts off, telling jokes that are important to him and things that he thinks matters to like the lowest common denominator, just bashing people around him for like a quick laugh and, his corruption and stuff. Like, I think it's interesting to see that. And so, like I said, I mean, I thought it was fine and I enjoyed it enough, So I don't think I'm going to invest in CBS All Access, but, if I can find a way to acquire the other episodes, so to speak, I would be interested in seeing what else they have to offer, Because I think Jordan Peele definitely has some sort of vision, and I'm interested to see what that vision is, It'd be interesting to see where the series goes. And I don't know if you guys, any of what I said sounds interesting, check it out, tell me what you think about the show. I'd be interested to know. But with that being said, let's move on. Alrighty guys, that's basically it for my week. That's all I have to really talk about. Hopefully for next week, I will dive into the new anime season and I'll have all sorts of new anime to talk about. Not only that, but maybe some video games, since this week I didn't really play anything, worth talking about. But with that being said, I think we should turn over to the news. And the first news story I have is I would say it's a pretty big one, alright? So basically what I'm saying is that for the first news story, Best Buy internal system lists The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Metroid Prime Trilogy, and Persona 5 for Switch. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard the news lately about Best Buy, but lately Best Buy is on a roll when it comes to squealing. All right. Like, that's why if you look at my thumbnail, I got Jimmy I think his name's like Jimmy the Squealer. Jimmy the Squealer from The Simpsons. He's like that guy from the mafia that he's always like snitching. He's always like ratting everybody out. And that's why I put, his body with like Best Buy like over his face as like his head. Because like lately Best Buy, like, they can't keep their mouth, like, shut, Like, not too long ago, there was this story where basically they seem to have leaked the render of Joker from Persona in Smash Brothers. And I didn't think that was that worthy of a news story, because like, oh, he looks like Joker for Persona. Who cares? It's not that major of a story, whatever. But this one, I would say this is a pretty big story. So to kind of, go farther into it, like, it's kind of hard if you've never worked retail, but basically, like, if you've worked retail, you should know that there's like an inventory like system, right? Where you can see like all the stuff coming in, you can see like the barcodes, information like that, right? And basically there was an image posted on Imager that was screenshots taken from a Persona 5 Nintendo Switch listing. And then there's this guy on Twitter who calls himself Wario64. And, he's always talking about video game deals. I'm actually going to talk about him later in the podcast. Keep that in mind. But yeah, he's always talking about like video game deals and like video game news, that sort of stuff. And he actually said that he was able to confirm that the listing was legit. And not only was it legit, but also in Best Buy's system, there was a listing for Metroid Prime Trilogy and The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And, everything has SKUs, they have barcodes, that sort of thing. Like right now I'm looking at the article and it says the SKUs for all three titles are within close range of each other, only being a few numbers off, meaning that they were likely all added to the system, one after the other. And so, yeah, it's one of those things where like, this is big news. It sounds fake, but there are a few people confirming that supposedly, like, if you look in the Best Buy system, it is legit. And so that's a pretty big deal because, well, like the Metroid Prime Trilogy, that's great. I would love to play that. I think that people have been waiting for it forever, especially with Metroid Prime 4 getting pushed back. People are definitely excited to play that. And so hearing that it's coming is, like, that's cool, right? The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, that one's interesting because that's coming out of nowhere, all right? Like, we have a Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, coming sometime this year, the remake, but Link to the Past, like, what's up with that? Like, is it going to be like a virtual console thing? Is it going to be like a re-release, physical copy? Like, what is it, right? Like, that's a weird one. And finally, Persona 5, like, that's the big one. because people have been begging and hoping for Persona 5 to come to Switch, you know, especially because of how Joker from the Persona series is going to be in Smash Bros. But it's just such a weird one because the Persona games have basically always been like Sony exclusives. I mean, they have had spin-offs on the DS, you know, 3 and 3DS, but I don't know, like if Persona 5 were to actually come to Switch, like that would be crazy, right? And so, I don't know, that ties into other news, such as, you know, supposedly on April 25th, they're going to announce what Persona 5S is. They're also supposed to talk about Persona 5R, all that good stuff. So, what people are, you know, theorizing is that Persona 5S might be the Switch version. Maybe it'll be like the standard Persona 5 version, just ported to the Switch. And then Persona 5R, you know, the Royal, maybe that'll be like the new and improved like version with like new content for PS4. You know, that's what people are theorizing. But what it means, it's still up for debate. I mean, if you look at the article, it says that there was like an update like the very next day. And it says, I mean, I don't know why it says Walmart. For some reason, it says Walmart has pulled the 3 game listings from the internal system. I think they meant Best Buy. I think they screwed it up. But yeah, it's interesting that, you know, they were in the system, then they got pulled off. So I don't know. I mean, all I could hope is that hopefully there's some sort of like a Nintendo Direct coming soon, and maybe we'll get official word on these games. Because maybe, you know, Best Buy screwed it up, and now Nintendo's going to have to like do something about it because of all the rumors. So I don't know. I think it's exciting stuff. I think it sounds cool. And if all of 3 of these games are coming to Switch, that would be great. But in the meantime, you know, all we can do is speculate and, you know, just keep waiting to see what happens. So there you go. In other gaming news, Borderlands 3 launches September 13th. Now, not too long ago, I talked about how there was going to be like a big event and they were going to talk about what people, you know, were theorizing was Borderlands 3. And last week, there was some sort of a story, you know, relating to Borderlands 3 where it officially got announced and there was a trailer. But since I had heard there was going to be more news, you know, if we waited a little bit, that's why I didn't talk about it last week. But there you have it. If you like the Borderlands series, Borderlands 3 is coming September 13th. And, you know, if you haven't checked out the footage yet, they have a trailer, they have all sorts of information. We have the names and descriptions for the 4 new playable characters. It's been told that there's going to be all sorts of like different worlds to explore. There's going to be, you know, co-op action again. They have said that supposedly there's going to be like over 1 billion guns, which sounds ridiculous, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you think of all the different combinations and stuff. The art style's been, you know, updated. Let's see, there's information on the different game editions, you know, like the standard game edition is $60, all the way to this crazy diamond loot chest collector's edition that comes with all sorts of crap and it's $250. So I don't know. Like, I don't know how much you guys like Borderlands. If you do, let me know. Maybe we can play together. I think that'd be kind of fun. And besides that, you know, it just looks like a Borderlands game. I don't really know what to say. Like, if you look at the trailer, it looks fun. I think it's great to see returning characters. I think the biggest surprise is that they show Reese, which was one of the main characters from the Telltale game. Like, the fact that he's canon and he's going to be in Borderlands 3 is awesome. But besides that, you know, I don't really know what else to say. You know, either you're a fan and you're going to look at the trailer, you're going to love everything about it, or, you know, you're someone who's not really into Borderlands and you can't care less. But like I said, I think it's cool. I think everything they show in the trailer is awesome. And if you like to play Borderlands, like I said, let me know in the comment section below and maybe we can play together sometime. I think that would be awesome. Moving on to something not so awesome, Bubsy Paws on Fire has been delayed to May 16. The article doesn't really say why. Honestly, I didn't care enough to do more research because Bubsy's a meme. Bubsy's a joke. I mean, the last game was terrible. You could beat it like in 2 hours, so I don't have any love for Bubsy. But, I mean, there you have it. If you want to play the new Bubsy game, it's coming out May 16th, which honestly isn't that far from now. And I don't know, I guess to give Bubsy his due, I'll read some of the information in the article. Like, for instance, the PlayStation 4 and Switch versions are $29.99. with there being a $39.99 limited edition on Amazon. The game is described as having 4 playable characters. There's going to be an all-new story. Supposedly here it says there's over 140 levels across 3 different worlds, which I don't know. I mean, I gotta admit, if that's true, that is a pretty big step up, because the last game was literally like 20 levels, and they each took like a minute to beat. So I don't know. I mean, at least that sounds interesting. Supposedly there's going to be a combo system, leaderboards for each character, costumes and cosmetics. Let's see here. Unique character dialogue for every level, collectibles, that sort of thing for replayability. So I don't know. I mean, I don't care for Bubsy. Like I said, I have no love for the series, but I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe they're actually finally trying to be serious. Maybe they're trying to like not fade into obscurity, and maybe this game will actually be like an actual game, but it remains to be seen, you know? Like, I guess good for them, the fact that they're, you know, doing all this content and that they are still trying. I very much doubt I'll play the game, but if you love the series, more power to you. Like I said, you can expect it coming out May 16th. So if you're excited for that, keep an eye out for it. Finally, my last piece of video game news, basically it's about how there's big stuff happening over at Square Enix. As the title of the article states, Final Fantasy VII Remake project lead, now co-director, Naoki Yoshida, division developing large-scale next-gen project. So basically you could say this is like 2 stories in one. The first one is that the project lead on Final Fantasy VII Remake, he's now co-director. So likewise, same as how Kingdom Hearts 3 was directed by both Tetsuya Nomura and I want to say his name's like Yasue, something like that. Like it was directed by 2 people, you know? Likewise, Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's headed by Tetsuya Nomura and by the project lead, Naoki Hamaguchi. So there's 2 people leading it now, which honestly, seeing how, the Kingdom Hearts series is kind of a mess, you know? Like, I love the series, but I can admit that it is kind of a mess. And seeing how Final Fantasy 15, I mean, you guys heard my thoughts about it. I feel like that just had such a crazy development cycle. I mean, maybe having 2 directors is good. You know, maybe that helps to, like, balance out Tetsuya Nomura's, like, craziness. So, I mean, that's cool, I guess. I mean, if it helps the project and it, you know, maybe helps with development and that sort of thing, I mean, I guess that's great. And the other part of the story is that apparently, it's kind of weird, but apparently within Square Enix, they have something called the 5th Business Division, which I guess the way it works is that, I mean, I guess like they're not in charge of making games. I guess they just like work on like business sort of stuff. But they that division's now been renamed the 3rd Development Division. And so I guess they're working on a new title for the next gen, you know, series of consoles. So that's cool, I guess. Like if I read the article, it says, based on the former 5th Business Division, the newly established 3rd Development Division has started working on a new key project following Final Fantasy XIV, taking up a challenge for the next generation. This project has already finished early development, as well as preparation of the development environment, and is now moving into the full-blown, large-scale development phase. So that's cool. I mean, number one, that's interesting, because that seems to hint that the next gen of, like, Sony consoles is coming soon, which a lot of people have suspected for a while that, you know, like the PS5, you know, we could probably expect it, you know, next year. So that's interesting. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, I wonder what they're working on. I would think that maybe it's going to be Final Fantasy 16. I think after like the whole mess with Final Fantasy 15, I think they just want to move on and work on a game and maybe push it out, you know, much faster and hopefully with like not so much mixed response. That's what I would think. But, you know, they are the 3rd development team, so maybe there's a different team working on it, but definitely interesting. So I don't know. Final Fantasy 15, I've always regretted, you know, what it became. I think it's a huge mess, but hopefully, you know, this new team, whatever they're working on, hopefully it's a fun project. Hopefully it's like a good game and, you know, hopefully it doesn't have those issues. And as for Final Fantasy VII Remake, it feels like it's been forever. I mean, who knows how far away we are from getting it. But as I said, hopefully the fact that there's like a co-director, hopefully that makes things smoother. You know, hopefully that helps balance out Tetsuya Nomura and all his like crazy ideas that maybe he has, that sort of thing. But there you have it, you know? I mean, whether you're excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake or you're just looking forward to like the next Final Fantasy game, there you go. I mean, maybe they're not too far away. So, you know, let's keep an eye out for that. Moving on to movie news, the first news story I want to talk about is that we finally have a teaser trailer for the new Joker movie, starring Joaquin Phoenix. And I watched it. It's about, I want to say it's like 2 minutes and a half. Yeah, 2 minutes and a half. And it is interesting. Like, I'll admit, it is interesting. Basically, you know, I think you should check it out yourself. But if you just want like a quick summary of what it shows in the trailer, basically it shows that there's this guy named Arthur. And I guess he wants to be like a comedian, but he's failing at it. And it shows him just dealing with life. And I guess life just like everything goes wrong for him. Like it shows, you know, he's dressed as a clown and he's spinning like a sign and he gets like beat up by teenagers. Later he's like on the subway and I don't know if he's like having like a mental breakdown or something, but he's like laughing by himself and these like douchey businessmen beat him up. And like I said, it seems like he's just having trouble with like his personal life and his career's failing and, you know, he wants to be a comedian, but he's been described as like a failing comedian. And we get this part of him saying that his mom always told him to put on a happy face so he can bring laughter and joy to the world. And I guess, you know, that's where like it's going to become twisted. And as he starts to like hate the world and see like the cruelty in it, I guess that's how he becomes the Joker, who's like known for like his laughter and twisted sense of humor. And I don't know, like I said, it's actually pretty interesting. Like I have mixed feelings about it because on the one hand, I think what makes the Joker so interesting is that we don't know what his deal is. You know, like, I don't know. I mean, he's like supposed to be mysterious because he's supposed to stand for chaos. All right. You know, like what makes him interesting is that like Batman, he is a dude with no powers, you know? Like Batman at the end of the day is basically just a crazy asshole running around using his fancy toys to like fight crime because he's using that to cope with like his parent issues. And, you know, the other side of the coin is supposed to be Joker, who loves destruction and chaos and anarchy, and he's trying to break people down and show them that the world is cruel in some incarnations, you know? And I like that. I like not knowing who the Joker is. And I like how the Joker can be anybody because that makes him more of like a symbol. It makes him more of like a metaphor than like an actual person, you know? But, you know, on the other hand, Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor. The story they're presenting is interesting. And I don't know. I mean, I think it would be cool if they could nail it because, like, don't get me wrong, I like superhero movies, but I kind of hate that all comic book movies, like, how can I explain it? Like, I love superhero movies, but I do think it's a shame that people kind of put comic books together with superheroes, where like the only comic book adaptation that can be made and be successful is if you have someone with superpowers, right? I think the idea of just having a comic book or, you know, graphic novel that's more realistic, like, I think that's cool. And so I think just having a movie that's like dark and psychological about a man who like slowly goes crazy and becomes like this crime boss, like, I think that would be cool. And I think it would be awesome, like, if this movie could succeed. And, you know, maybe that'll open up the door to more graphic novels that, you know, don't necessarily have to deal with superpowers, you know? More graphic novels that tell, like, more mature, dark stories that are more realistic and stuff. Like, I do think that would be cool. Of course, you know, it remains to be seen. Who knows how this movie will do? But like I said, checking out the trailer, I thought it was really interesting, and I do think Joaquin is one hell of an actor, so hopefully he nails it, you know? I mean, there's a part where he laughs, where it sounds like really creepy, and it sounds very Joker-esque, so I thought that was cool. And like I said, Joaquin has done all sorts of great roles, so I think that being a good actor, hopefully he pulls off like the whole insanity thing, you know? I mean, I'd love to see that. So definitely keep an eye out for it, you know? I mean, I know I'm going to keep an eye out for it. I'm actually kind of looking forward to see it. It seems interesting. It's supposed to hit theaters. I think it said October 9th, I think. Let me look for the date real quick. Oh, I'm sorry. October 4th. So, later this year. And I don't know, like I said, I'll probably check it out. Hopefully it doesn't disappoint. If anything that I said sounds interesting to you, then check it out as well, There you go. Moving on, this next news story is kind of a bummer. And I think that, if more people get a hold of this news story, like if it spreads more, there's going to be a lot of pissed off people. All right. So basically what I'm talking about, as the title of the article states, Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 4 was sidelined for Shyamalan's movie, which, oof, that is like a big mistake right there. For anyone who might have been living under a rock, the movie by M. Night Shyamalan called The Last Airbender, it was supposed to be like a live action adaptation of the Nickelodeon, cartoon series. It came out back in 2010, and it was and still is considered one of like the worst movies ever made. Like, not only are people who are fans of the show pissed off, and they were like super disappointed because it was like a terrible adaptation, but even just regular moviegoers who knew nothing about the series, like, they hated it. I mean, there was just so much sorts of issues. I mean, there was whitewashing, there was terrible special effects, there was terrible acting, there was terrible adaptation choices, like in the series, an airbender controls air, they use wind powers and stuff. And in the movie, basically it just looks like they're dancing, and you see like little gusts of wind every so often, which is like really lame. Like, the point is, the movie was terrible. And yeah, I mean, like, if you read this article, it's really sad because the creator of the series basically says that, like, yeah, there was a potential season 4. One of the antagonists, Azula, who's the younger sister of Prince Zuko, which, if you've seen the series, Zuko has like a whole redemption arc, and apparently Azula, who was like an antagonist, she was supposed to have like a redemption arc, and they were gonna like go farther into her character, that sort of thing. But because of how they heard that the movie was coming out, I guess they decided that it just made sense to like stop the show there. I don't know why. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, the reasoning's weird, but it's just one of those things where I guess they just think, okay, Shyamalan's movie's coming, so they decided to revert back to the original idea of just 3 seasons, I guess, to like, wrap up the series. That way, when the movie came out, I guess that could be like the jumping off point for something new, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But the point is, it's just so disappointing how they didn't do a season 4, and then the movie was terrible. So knowing that one thing got sacrificed to the other, like I said, I mean, that's a big oof. That's really sad. And yeah, I mean, if you're interested, the link will be in the description below. You can read the article. It includes tweets and, like a whole analysis about it. But wow, it's just one of those stories where it's just like, oh man. Like, when you see someone pull a big mistake like that, it just makes you like shake your head and like just cringe, But there you go. If you're a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but at the very least, you can check out the story. I mean, it's interesting, so there you go. Speaking of animated series and adaptations in live action, I want to say there was a story I covered a while ago about how Cowboy Bebop is going to be a live action TV show for Netflix. And, when I covered that a while ago, I said, personally, I hope it doesn't happen because I think leaving anime animated is like the best choice, Like, I never really understand the fascination with live action. I feel like you kind of lose a part of the medium and like you lose something in the transition. And I remember that I said, like, hopefully, the show will just get canceled, because for the longest time they've been talking about like a live action Cowboy Bebop project, but it never happens. Unfortunately, or, I mean, to be fair, we don't know yet. But apparently it seems like the project is moving forward, and as the title of this article states, Netflix's live-action Cowboy Bebop TV show casts John Cho and more. So for anyone who doesn't know, John Cho, he basically is the guy from Harold and Kumar. He came out in the Star Trek reboot. He came out in a movie that was like more serious not too long ago. It was called Searching, I think, where it was about him like looking for Was it his daughter? I want to say it was like his, I don't remember. Like, I watched the movie and I forgot, but I want to say like he was looking for like his daughter, and it was like really like mysterious. It was like a thriller. I mean, it was a pretty interesting movie. It had some stuff. You know, he's came out in quite a few movies. I mean, he definitely has a range, but you know, apparently he's been cast as Spike Spiegel, and I don't know. I mean, it's just Spike Spiegel's just so impossibly cool, and I just don't know if John Cho can pull it off. You know, like, don't get me wrong, John Cho is cool, but I just don't know if he's cool enough to be Spike. You know, I don't know if anyone's cool enough to be Spike. But, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what I think. It seems like it's moving forward. Likewise, they've cast a few actors as some of the characters. I'm not very familiar with them. The only one I really recognize is that apparently the girl they casted as Faye Valentine, she's the girl who came out in Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom. Like, if you watch that movie and you remember the girl with the glasses who was like, what was she, like a paleontologist or something? I don't remember what she was, but she's the one who like helps do like the dinosaur blood transfusion, which, yes, that's a real thing in the movie. Apparently she got cast as Faye Valentine, which I don't know. I think it's kind of weird that they're trying to not whitewash Spike by, you know, hiring someone who's Asian, but then, you know, Faye Valentine is supposed to be Chinese, I believe, but they cast somebody who's Mexican. I mean, that's weird, but I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to get into the politics of that. But yeah, out of the actors, the only one I really recognize is her and John Cho. Like, the guy who's supposed to play Vicious, I don't recognize him at all. The guy who played, who's going to play Jet Black, apparently he came out in season 2 of Luke Cage, I think, but since I didn't watch season 2, I have no idea who he is. But there you have it. You know, I guess the show is moving forward. Like I said, I am disappointed because I think it's better when anime stays anime, but I don't know. I mean, if they can pull off an Alita and stay close to the source material, I mean, I guess it'll be fine. I mean, I don't know, maybe they can pull it off, you know, like when it comes to like a shonen anime being adapted into live action, I think those are just bound to fail because of all the action and transformations and fight scenes, that sort of thing. But what is cool about Cowboy Bebop, since it is very like realistic and like grounded, I mean, I guess maybe it won't be too hard to pull off, you know? I mean, you just have to show like some kung fu fights, some gunplay, that sort of thing. So I don't know. I'm just hoping for the best. Hopefully it lives up to the source material, but only time will tell, right? So there you go. Continuing forward with the live action, you know, adaptation train, apparently another series that they have been trying to adapt for a long time, and it's always failed. It looks like that's happening too. I'm of course talking about, as the article states, live action Akira to shoot in California. Leonardo DiCaprio producing. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Akira is a manga series, and it's an anime movie that came out, I actually don't remember when Akira came out, sorry. But yeah, Akira is this movie that has to do with like motorcycle gangs, and it has to do with like this kid that, you know, he's like in a motorcycle gang sort of thing, and his friend develops psychic powers. We see how he gets corrupted and becomes evil, and how apparently like the powers are too much for his body, so like he starts like mutating, and it's like really gross. But anyway, Akira's a pretty cool movie. It's a classic, and for the longest time they've talked about being interested in a live action adaptation. And, you know, that's been development hell forever. It seems like it's not happening, but I guess now it is happening, and we don't have too much information. You know, all the article really says is that apparently it's going to shoot in California. It's planned for a 71-day shoot, and that apparently Leonardo DiCaprio is producing. This is the kind of thing I was talking about. I don't know how well you can adapt Akira to live action. I think the atmosphere and like the action, that sort of thing, I don't think it's going to translate well. And I don't know, it's so Japan focused. I feel like they're going to butcher it by making it, you know, like it takes place in the US, which like that'll suck. So there you go. I mean, I don't know what to expect. You know, I have mixed feelings about this. I don't know. I guess only time will tell. So let's move on. Finally, the last anime news story I have is that if you think only Hollywood and, America is over here giving unnecessary live-action adaptations, Kaguya-sama Love is War apparently also has a live-action film in the works. So, if you check the link in the description below, there's like a little teaser trailer. We have an image of the two leads. I mean, to be fair, I guess they kind of resemble their anime counterparts. I mean, not a lot, since anime is just a special style or whatever. But there you have it. I mean, Japan loves to do live-action adaptations of, like, romance stories. So, I mean, it's happening whether anybody likes it or not. What I think is funny is that if you go to the link that I put in the description, and you go all the way down to the bottom, everyone's basically like, they don't look like the characters. Who cares? Tell us about season 2. Someone else is like, would rather see a season 2 announcement, but okay. But there you have it. I mean, the good thing is, once again, there's not a lot of fights and stuff. It is a romance anime. Japan makes those all the time, and sometimes they're okay. So I don't really have faith in this. I don't think I'm going to watch it. I'd rather just watch the anime and read the manga. But at least, hopefully it isn't too bad. So there you go. I mean, if you, for whatever reason, like watching live action Japanese films based on romance anime, then this is for you, I guess. Alrighty then, and there you have it. I mean, I know that was kind of a weird ending to the news week, but I've said it once and I've said it again. I am not a big fan of anime live-action adaptations. I honestly didn't really know what to say because it was like 4 just like back-to-back. So, I don't know. It just felt weird. I didn't really know what to say, so I just kind of cut it short. But, all the same, hopefully one of the articles was interesting or educational. Hopefully you guys learned something new, that sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys enjoy the news week. Let me know. With that being said, I think we should move on to the content creator spotlight. And I'll admit, I don't know if the content creator for this week really counts as a content creator. Like, it's kind of a weird one. But I mean, I guess since he does provide a service and like puts himself out there, I guess I'll count it. I mean, I'm the one making the rules, so screw it, why not? Basically what I'm talking about is that the content creator for this week is someone that I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the podcast, and his name is Wario64. Now, Wario64 is pretty cool. He doesn't seem to have a YouTube channel or any of that stuff, but what he does have is a Twitter profile. And on his Twitter profile, he posts, all sorts of like video game deals, all sorts of cool discounts. Sometimes I guess he gives away affiliate links. He gives all sorts of news, that sort of thing. Like, I discovered him not too long ago, but I think he's really cool because, like just scrolling through, like right now, his pinned tweet is him talking about how if you have Amazon Twitch Prime, you can get 12 months of Nintendo Switch Online for free. So like, hey, that's cool. I mean, I already knew about it, but the fact that he's putting that out there, that's really cool. Likewise, if you scroll down a little farther, he's pointing out that The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is $8.29 on Amazon. He's talking about the graphic novel though, not the game, but like, hey, that's pretty cool, just the way that he points that out. Likewise, Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition is $25.49 on Steam. He retweeted the Bebop story that I just mentioned earlier. If you scroll down a little bit farther, he talks about how What Remains of Edith Finch is $11.99 on Steam, that sort of thing. So I just think his channel's pretty cool. I think his profile's pretty cool because basically this guy just dedicates himself to sharing all this information, whether it's discounts, deals, news, that sort of thing. As I mentioned earlier, he's the one who said that he could confirm the news story about the Best Buy leak. So like the fact that he's in on that is really cool. And like I said, it's kind of weird because I don't really know if you would call him a content creator, but just the fact that he provides this service where you can just click on his profile and, just scroll through and see all these deals and all that sort of stuff, how he keeps people informed. Like, I think that's noteworthy, I think that's really cool. And, so for this week, my content creator is Wario64. You can go check him out on Twitter. at Wario 64. And, you know, if you're a gamer and you're always looking for deals or you love to keep up with the gaming news, then I think you should add him. He just seems to be a cool guy that just likes to keep people informed and stuff. So there you go. As always, you know, if it sounds interesting to you, show the guy some love and check him out. Alrighty, with that being said, that brings us to the end of another podcast. That is one more in the bag. As usual, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully you guys got something out of it, whether it was, you know, more insight into the anime from this season, whether it was, you know, my review of Bumblebee, which maybe you would have never thought of watching, whether it was one of the news stories and you feel like you learned something new, that sort of thing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you did, leave a comment in the comment section below. I love talking to the community. I always think that's really fun. And yeah, I mean, I guess to really wrap up, you know, I've been doing it for the last few podcasts. My name is the Wannabe Reviewer. For anyone who doesn't know, I not only host the podcast, you know, every week over on YouTube, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play Music, you know, all that good stuff. But I also can be found over on Twitter at wannabe_review. Not only do I follow people like Mario 64 and retweet stuff, you know, that, you know, he posts like video game deals and stuff, but I give, you know, updates to my channel. I retweet all sorts of like memes and gaming news. You know, I follow other YouTubers. I try to retweet and, you know, push their stuff out there. I follow all sorts of like voice actors and stuff. So, you know, you might see me retweet some of their stuff, which is fun to follow, that sort of thing. So if that sounds interesting to you, follow me over on Twitter. You know, I think you'll have a good time. And besides that, I also run a YouTube channel called Wannabe Reviewer, where every Wednesday I do some sort of a review, whether it's anime, video games, movies, TV shows, that sort of thing. And yeah, with that being said, I guess that's really all there really is to say. If you guys want to follow me on social media or over on YouTube, I'd appreciate it. And besides that, you know, I just hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will try my best to be back next week with another episode of the podcast. And, you know, my name has been Wannabe Reviewer, and I'll see you guys next time.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.